Assalamu alaikum, bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. This is Kamran Malik presenting to you the second lecture of leadership class. I hope you are doing well. The first class was interesting for you, and in case if you are coming across problems in queries, you can share your problems in queries in the WhatsApp group. Dear fellows and friends, in the first lecture we discussed some of the basic concepts and theories in the leadership class. We discussed the course objectives, the objectives of the class, the leadership subject, the outlines, and some of the pictures that would illustrate the difference between a manager and a leader. We said that managers have very short vision and they are not always going in the front line, while the leaders, as you could see in the pictures, that the managers are actually trying to pressurize their employees to do the work, while the leaders, they are people who influence, who encourage, who motivate their employees and provide them the opportunities to develop and succeed in the organizations. We took plenty of examples and we talked about some of the qualities, the differences between both. So you could see in the picture, and you have already seen it, you have already took notes of the important parts, that the leaders add value while the managers count them. The leaders make followers while the managers are trying to keep these senior relationships. Plus the other characteristics that a leader should have, like communication, motivation, positivity, creativity, feedbacks, and etc. We discussed some of the definitions and the very detailed thing about the leaders. The leaders are organizing people, they are providing guidance, they are influencing them, and they are helping them to achieve goals. We took examples of Muslim and non-Muslim scholars and people who are famous for being good leaders in the world, like Malcolm X, Gandhiji, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And there are other hundreds of examples of Muslims and non-Muslim leaders that have led people to good places. We also said that the non-Muslims have had good ideas, and they talked about Prophet Muhammad as a good leader in the world. And we took Gandhi as an example, and there are other examples as well. The assignment was why Prophet Muhammad was considered as the best leader in the world. I hope you have done your assignments, and you will be sharing the assignments, inshallah, in the WhatsApp groups sooner or later in order to check them, because these assignments will be helping you to properly manage your internships or thesis reports. That was all about the first lecture. In the second lecture, we are going with the leadership. I hope you have a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen to write down important points in the lecture. So that's the second lecture. In the previous class, we discussed these topics. I will not be going into it, but this was just about to give you idea. In today's lecture, we will be discussing few important points. The first one is why we study leadership. You know, this is a very important point to understand. We study different subjects like mathematics, econometrics, in other subjects which involve numerics and even theories. But after studying those subjects, you would be able to, or the student will be able to be a good mathematician or economist or a manager. But leadership is different. As I said, leaders are actually not trained, they are actually born. They're born with the characteristics to be leader. The only thing we can do is to take out all those skills that they have from them, and they become good leaders in the future. So leaders basically, they do not only speak good, but they actually do things in a good way. They move individuals in the organizations, individuals in a community, individuals in a society. They move organizations, corporations in the world. Talking about individuals, you could think of a leader, a person who works in your organization and acts as a good leader, that other people are influenced from him. As an organization, those leaders that are running the organizations, they lead the organization into a better place. You take example of good leaders that we have, like Bill Gates, like Steve Jobs, and etc., who have led their organizations into good places, and corporations, organizations, and the world. There are leaders in the world, political leaders and other leaders, who have led the world into a good place, a peaceful place. You could take examples, a lot of examples are there. For example, Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, we talked about it before. We could talk about the current leader in the world, which are loved by a lot of people, like Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the president of the Turkish government, or Turkey. So these are basically the leaders who are leading the countries into a better place. For example, Erdogan took Turkey into the top 10 or top 15 economies of the world, saving the Turkish currency. The lira was equal, $1 was equal to more than 100,000 lira, but right now $1 is about 4 to 5 lira. You see the difference, because the leaders, how they lead the countries. The leaders could not only be the leaders of good speeches, but they could be good leaders of controlling the country in terms of economy, in terms of politics, in terms of social status, and etc. So there are examples of presidents that I have mentioned, generals, scientists, and other great people who have led the world, or who have led us into beautiful life, or a good stage in the life. Leaders help others to learn, just as a coach would help their sport players to be good people, or to be actually playing himself, which means that the leaders could play a key role in letting the players play in a very good place. So leaders will lead. He will motivate the players. The coach, let's say, coach is a leader, let's say, he will help them. He will motivate them in a way that they could play and they could win the match, a soccer match, a cricket match, or another match. So coach can also function as a leader if he can properly influence his players. Leadership is not only a position that someone holds, it's a process, and it's basically the relationship between the people that he is leading. So he actually acts in a way that wins the hearts of the followers in such a way that they could sacrifice themselves for the leader. Take example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was able to encourage and influence the Sahabas, the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in a way that they were ready to sacrifice their lives for him. There are thousands of examples. If you read the seerah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, in his companions, you would see that how they sacrificed themselves, their children, for this one-man army, in order to take their goal and mission achieved. So the need for leadership, the first thing to know is that understanding leadership help organizations. They very much help organizations in terms of helping them to select right people for the right positions, or let's say for the leadership position. Every position, if you take it as a serious matter of fact, it becomes a leadership position for every person. A head of department can be a leader for his subordinates, for his followers, let's say. So it also helps the organizations in terms of training people to improve their performance. Their work can be improved by training them. That is possible to a proper leadership. So who is actually benefiting from the leadership? The leaders themselves, in order to make good followers. The followers themselves benefit from it in the organization, and then the society as a whole benefits from the proper and good leadership that they would have in the success of the organization, in the achievement of the mission that the organization have or has. So we are now discussing some of the basic definitions for leadership. Some of the famous people or businessmen who discussed the definition. Peter Drucker has defined the leadership as the only definition of a leadership is someone who has followers. You see, if somebody has followers, it means he is a leader. Leaders are born. They, as we said, they move individuals, they move organizations, and they move the corporation in the world as a whole. So the other man called John C. Maxwell said that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, which means that leadership would influence you. It will help you to influence others if you are a leader. Also, a man called John W. Gardner, he said that it is a process of persuasion, an example by which an individual or the team or the society or community induces a group to take action in accordance with the leader's purpose and shared purpose of all. So you see, it's basically a process in which you make yourself an example to people by persuading these people, by encouraging these people or a person to take action as the leader actually desires. And that desire should be a purpose for all people together. So this is very important definition, that persuasion is important in the leadership process. You persuade, you influence person, then you become yourself as an example to them, and that leads those people that are following you to take the action as you were desiring to do that action. But those actions should not be against the desires, the wills, and the norms and values of the society, because it will not then encourage these people to follow the leader properly. The other part of the lecture is part of the process that we will be discussing. Leadership actually is a process. It's not a position. Someone cannot tell you that you are a leader and this is a position for you and they will pay you. It's actually a process. You go through a process to become a leader. So that is important. And then you will be able to make followers. So the three components are very important in leadership: the leader, the follower, and the situation. Leader is a person. The followers are people who are actually following the leader, who are actually led by the leader, in the situation in which the leader is trying to encourage people to be followers. So the environment is important, the leader itself is important, and the follower itself is important. If these three components, one of these were missing, that would not work. This situation, you can take another example. For example, a leader from another country comes to Afghanistan and they want to lead people, but he has a different point of view than the people of Afghanistan. The situation, the environment is different. So he will not be able to do that because he doesn't know the situation, he doesn't know the environment. There are a couple of examples that, and a lot of examples that you could take. For example, a person from the United States of America comes here and he has very liberal ideas and he tries to lead people on those liberal ideas, but the people will react. They will stand against him because he actually did not understand the situation properly. Now, who is a leader? One who influences individuals, groups, teams in an organization, helps them in the establishment of goals and guide them toward achievement of those goals to be effective. So you see, a leader is someone who first influences people، بعد دینه چې خلک تشویق کړه، هغه متاثر کړه، بیا هغه یو ټیم جوړوي په ارګنایزیشن کې، خلک ورسره یو ځای کیږي. بیا د دې ټیم د طریق نه دا کولی شي چې اهداف لاسته راوړي. که دا یو عام مثال وکړو هم کېدلی شي چې خلک د یو جامع خلک متاثره کړي د ځان نه، بیا د هغو نه یو ګروپ جوړ کړي، بیا هغوی دا تعقیب کړي، بیا د هغې نه وروسته کوم هدف چې هغه خلک او دغه رهبر لري هغه ته استفاده وکړي. هدف کېدلی شي چې مثبت وي، هدف کېدلی شي چې منفي وي، یعنی یو جماعت د خلکو جوړ کړي. یعنی پیغمبر صلی الله علیه و سلم تاسو یو ښه مثال دی، یک نمونه بسیار خوبی هست، به خاطر که او یک نفر تنها بود، بعد از او که به پیغمبری مبعوث شد خانمش کتش استاد شد، غلامش کتش استاد شد، حضرت علی کتش استاد شد، ابو بکر رضی الله عنه کتش استاد شد، یعنی یک تیمی 4-5 نفری را جور کرد. بعد از او که رفت دیگران را که دعوت نبود، یعنی باز تیمش آهسته آهسته کلان شد و در ظرف چند سال که بعد از این دعوت خفیه داشتن، ظرف چند سال هم مکه را هم گرفت و دیگه جاها را هم فتح کرد. هدف این بود که مردم متاثر ساخت، تیم دیولپ کرد، وارا ترین کرد. بعد از او که وارا تربیت کرد، باز تانستن که حتی فاتح همه جهان شد، تا افغانستان، تا کشوری نیست که در اوجه مسلمان ها نباشن. So leadership is the ability to influence a group toward the achievement of goals. The same thing we just said. Trust is the foundation of leadership. Trust is very important, and trust can be built by the leadership when the leadership goes in the front line, when the leadership is honest with his followers. Leadership develop an environment of trust where the organizational membership tends to establish a followership with the leader. یعنی په یو شکل باندې دغه trust دا ډیولپ کی چې هغوی دته من حیث یو رهبر تسلیم شي او د خبره ومني تر څو دغه سازمان دغه ارګنایزیشن دغه اداره خپل اهداف ترلاسه کړي. نو بله مسله چې موږ او تاسې باید په بحث وکړو هغه دا ده چې leadership example within self. زمونږ او ستاسو کې په خپله باید د لیډرشپ یو مثال واوسي. ځینې خلک زمونږ او ستاسې په دې هیواد کې هم بدبختانه دا هدف لري چې یو ښه رهبر واوسیږي، خو بیا هغه د رهبرۍ خواص په هغه کې نه وي. د رهبرۍ خواص دا نه دي چې هغه ښې خبرې وکوي. زمونږ او ستاسو جامعه کې کیدای شي دغه این نقطه هم رای مردم باشه، کسی که بسیار تند گپ میزنه و کسی که بدبختانه باید بگوییم دور از ما شما باشه، الفاظ بد استفاده کنه، بیادبی و الفاظ بد و به یک نفر دشنام بته، به دیگر نفر دشنام بته، با زور ما رهبر میگیم. او رهبر نیست. رهبر یک آدم بسیار معتدل می باشه. رهبر یک آدم می باشه که او در خط اول استاد می باشه، قربانی میده و امرای مردم خود بسیار محبت داشته می باشه، بسیار عاطفی برخورد میکنه و این یک رهبر است. مثالای بسیار زیادی ما داریم. در وقتی پیغمبر صلی الله علیه و سلم یک روز کار میکردن، یگان چیز پخته میکردن، خود رسول الله صلی الله علیه و سلم خیست و چوب می آورد. گفت من چوب میارم. کلگی برش گفت که تو چرا چوب میایی؟ و میگه که من از جمله شما هستم دیگه، ما از شما خود زیاد حساب نمیکنم. دیگه هدف می است. اول چیزی است که to lead others you must first lead yourself. اول باید خود بتانی که لید کنی. اول باید خپل ځان رهبری کی. You must organize yourself properly. You must regulate yourself in order to lead others. خود باید بتانی که صحیح رهبری کنی که ما مردم باز چه قسم رهبری کنیم. خود که یک نفر رهبری کردن نتانه او باز چه قسم میتونه که دیگران را رهبری کنه. The other point is if you want to influence others you must have influence over yourself. You should influence yourself first. اول باید خود متاثر بکنی. هدفی که داری، هدفی که دنبال میکنی در ارگانیزیشن، در دفتر، با یک جایی که خودت میرسانی یا میخوایی که برسانی، باید تو یک دفعه خودت متاثر بسازی که والله هدف ما خود صحیح است. ای تو متزلزل نباشی، دو گپه نباشی که یک دفعه میگی که والله این قسم است باز دیگر قسم است. باید خودت سرزو قناعت داشته باشی، خودت متاثر کنی، باز دیگران را میتونی که متاثر کنی. Be a walking example for yourself before others. You have to be an example for yourself before you become an example for others. If you are not an example for yourself, how could you be an example for others? Because if you talk about the world great leaders, they were good examples for themselves first. They were humble, they were honest, they were straightforward, they were loving, they created good environment. They did not ask everything for themselves to collect money, to collect wealth, but they actually sacrificed for others in order to become good leaders. So Thomas J. Watson says, nothing so conclusively proves a man's ability to lead others as what he does from day to day to lead himself. It's very important. If you cannot lead yourself, gradually you will not be able to lead others. That's very important. So you can take this process as an example for leading yourself first and then leading others. Self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-motivation. If you aware yourself on the purpose you have, on the vision you have, then you will be able to regulate yourself properly. خود منظم بسازی. رهبر یک آدمی نمی باشه که او در روز 20 ساعت خواب میکنه و باز 4 ساعت میخواد که او دیگران را رهبری کنه. رهبر باید خواصی داشته باشه که منظم باشه، که او درست فهم داشته باشه از چیزی که او میخواد که به دیگران برسانه، و ثقه و قربانی باید او این خصلت داشته باشه که قربانی بده و خود منظم ساخته بتانه. مثال من حیث یک مسلمان اگر کس میخواد که رهبر شوه، مثال او باید یک خوب مسلمان باشه، عقیده به خداوند داشته باشه، یک خوب نمونه باشه، سیرت صحابه را خوانده باشه، سیرت پیغمبر را خوانده باشه، مثال 5 وقت نماز بخونه، همراه غریبا کمک کنه، در وقتی که مشکلات پیش میشه به شکل رایگان بتانه که به شکل رضاکارانه کار کنه. یک نفری که مثال از خارج بیایه و کدام تجربه رضاکارانه نداره و خدا را هم صحیح نمیشناسه، پیغمبرش هم صحیح نمیشناسه، نماز هم نمیخوانه و هیچ چیز نمیشناسه و مستقیما میایه و اینجا مثال در یک چوکی کلان کار میکنه و میگه که مرا من حیث رهبر قبول کنید، او را کی قبول میکنه؟ که او یک جایم قربانی نداده باشه، خونه نریختانده باشه، خاله نی تو یکړي د ځان کمزې کې یو ریکارډ ونه لري، نو هغه به څوک من حیث رهبر قبول کی؟ دا ډیر مهم دی چې ځان پوي کې، ځان اصولي کې، سلف موټیویشن، چې ځان هم تشویق کی چې دا کار صحیح دی، ځان رهبری کی، بیا مسئولیت مردم به شانه های خود بگیری و همراه مردم کمک کنی، مشکلات شرف بسازی، در خط اول باشی، پتانسیل زیرا داشته باشی و یک انتخاب درست من حیث یک رهبر که وقتی که انتخاب درست کردی باز انشاءالله که ما میتونیم که یک رهبر خوب باشیم. دیگه مختصرا همین چیزا را ما شما صحبت کردیم که چرا ما شما یک لیدر باشیم، why we have to be leaders, why we study leadership, we study leadership because we want to be good leaders. We want our organization to be in a good position. We want to hire good people, the right people. We want to train people properly. We want to create not only subordinates, but we want to create followers, leaders in the society, in the organization. We discussed some of the definitions. I think that does not need to be revised. We talked about who is a leader, the components of a leader, and the leader itself, the followers, the situation and the environment. The leaders are people who are influencing people, who are creating teams, then they are using the teams, leading the teams in order to achieve the organizational goal or the society goal. How we can be good leaders within ourselves. We have to lead ourselves first. We have to influence ourselves first. We have to be good examples of ourselves in order to be good example to others. We have to focus on the self-awareness. We have to regulate ourselves. We have to motivate ourselves. We have to be ourselves leaders and take the responsibility. Then we can be the leaders for others, inshallah. We can go through the examples of the good leaders, the examples of good Muslim scholars in order to understand what can lead to better leadership. So this was all about our today's class. You can ask and share your questions if you have in the comments box in the website we have on each lecture. You can share your comments. Also, you have an assignment, applied leadership in its impact on the community. What is applied leadership and what impact does it have on the community? So you're going to work on the assignments. Before that, I will be looking at your first assignment, inshallah, and then we will be sharing comments. You can ask your questions and queries on the assignments as well in the WhatsApp groups and also in the website. It's also possible to ask your questions in the website. I will show you how you can ask and how you can comment. So when you go to the website of LMS, there are places available. I can see your comments, so you can write your comment here, or you can also put your comments, ask your queries in the WhatsApp group as well. So this was how you can ask your queries regarding the class. So this was all about our today's class. In the coming lecture, inshallah, we'll be discussing leadership that is explained in Quran, in Sunnah. We will distinguish between the manager and leader in great details. یک discussion قبلا هم در lecture اول داشتیم تفصیلا انشاءالله که را میخوانیم. We will discuss and recognize the skills and characteristics that are required for leaders inshallah. So this was our second lecture. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture and you can watch this video, share this video with your other classmates, plus these slides that we have just discussed will also be shared in the group. So thank you for participating. جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.